I have the honor today of introducing my advisee, Nicholas Christos. Advisee is an odd word and not really the right one to describe him. When he was assigned to me nearly 4 years ago, I had just completed my first year here at EA. I was more new to this school and its traditions than he was. I was like a freshman, and like many freshmen, I was relieved to have survived my first year. I was also painfully aware of my shortcomings as a teacher and how much I needed to grow. Enter Nicholas Christos. He took me under his wing, and in the 4 years since, he has coached me in the highest values and virtues of this school. Yes, I'm going to say it, Nicholas lives the stripes. He embodies those fine qualities of character in his every word and action. What makes Nicholas's example so compelling to me is that Nicholas isn't kind or honest or generous or respectful or courageous in boring, goody-goody ways. His version of kindness means making the hall monitors at Model UN, the women paid to stay up all night, making sure kids stay in their rooms. He makes them laugh by cracking jokes with them. His version of courage means working with his fellow editors to write a series of articles on how EA can improve, articles that celebrate our school and also push it to evolve. We like to think that the character of a school is set by its leaders, the founders perhaps, or the adults who every day are setting and holding the expectations. But the school is a living entity, and its character is largely determined by the individuals whose minds, hearts, bodies, and souls exist within it. In other words, it's on you, the students, and the choices you make. So when the time comes, probably not too far from now, vote Christos.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, Father Gavin and the vestry, for allowing me to speak today, and thank you, Dr. Nichols, for that wonderful introduction. If I ever were to get a tattoo, which I don't think I will, it would be a line by Seneca we recently translated in Latin class. It reads, Ducunt volentem fata, nolentem trahant. This translates into, fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling. Like some of my classmates, going to Episcopal was never a choice for me. My father attended EA, and so did my sister. When I was 4 years old, I would become part of the tradition. At the time, we lived in Haddonfield, New Jersey, so the commute to school was over an hour each way. As a child, I don't remember too much, but I do remember not enjoying spending 2 hours a day strapped in the backseat of the car. Eventually, we moved, and 14 years later, I consider EA my home. Before I continue, I think it's important to note that as a freshman, I learned I had obsessive compulsive disorder, or OCD, which for those of you who don't know is an anxiety disorder characterized by uncontrollable thoughts and ritualized repetitive behaviors you feel compelled to perform. Due to my OCD, it was especially difficult for me to do things outside of my comfort zone. I found myself nervous, inflexible, and unwilling to try anything new. I didn't want to seek new experiences or change my comfortable style of doing things at all because my brain had made me feel safe in my ways. However, as high school progressed, EA pushed me in many ways. It challenged me to break my habits, to meet new people, and to experience new things. I was skeptical of all that EA had to offer, but over time, I encouraged myself to take advantage of the novel opportunities high school presented. And experiences outside of the classroom tested me the most. I remember the first time I went to University City Hospitality Coalition, or UCHC, in Philadelphia. I was extremely nervous to get in the van with people I didn't know, to drive to a place I really knew nothing about, to meet people I imagined to be so different than myself. When time was provided for us to chat with the guests, I planned on staying on the other side of the serving counter, but a few EA students familiar with the people took me along to speak with the guests. To this day, the conversation I had with a guest that night has remained indelible in my mind. Her name is Mercedes. She's likely in her 60s. She's quite short and wears a large winter hat. At the time, the 2016 election was in full swing, so we had a lot to discuss. I found myself not wanting the conversation to end. I was learning new things from Mercedes and was inspired by her fervor for civic engagement and discourse. Over the years, we continued to discuss politics each Thursday. She would bring in articles from the Daily Pennsylvanian about issues in Philadelphia and the New York Times regarding national political stories. Sometimes she would present very unique conspiracy theories, and other times she would bring books and documents for me to look through over the week. Our conversations made me engaged, not just in political issues, but in journalism and homelessness. She taught me that everyone has a story to tell, and if you're willing to be open and listen, you will be enlightened in realities you may know little about. Everyone is worthy of a listen, no matter who their parents are or where they come from. And sometimes the person you're least expecting will educate and empower you. Other guests at UCHC taught me the same lesson. Dwight, for example, who has lived in Philadelphia his whole life, explained the intricacies of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, which allows him and 1.8 million other Pennsylvanians to obtain more nutritious diets at supermarkets and grocery stores. When low amounts of people come the first Thursday of each month, Dwight explained to me that this is likely because they had just received their SNAP benefits. Along with Dwight, other guests changed my perspective, like the professor at Wharton who was recently divorced and is short on money, or the MIT graduate who lost his job and his house. Or maybe it's the story of Jim and Amanda, who I met on the street corner in the city recently. They pleaded for $5 for bus fare to a shelter that would take them both for the night and put them back on the street at 5 a.m. the next morning. When they stayed in Center City, they had to separate, as certain shelters would only accept women. And when Amanda was alone going to one of these shelters late at night, she was attacked and many of her ribs were broken, yet she refused to go to a hospital. Jim explained that they were looking for jobs and that eventually something would come through. I wanted there to be a solution to that problem then and there, but I couldn't find one, and it infuriated me that they would continue to suffer in this horrible position. Meanwhile, I try to serve through EA and work with projects to combat the homelessness crisis in our country, which leaves 500,000 people out on the streets each night. I have learned that when I'm willing to try something new, I will learn something new, and therefore my perspectives on issues will change. When we get out of our comfort zones and give ourselves the opportunity to encounter new people and try new things, we grow and learn. The solutions are out there, but it is only when we allow ourselves to be exposed to the hidden realities of life around us that we are enthusiastically motivated to actually find them. Anyone who knows me knows my passion today is politics. I want to take this time to apologize to everyone for talking about politics too often. I'm sorry. But political engagement has taught me so much. It has made me aware of the major issues facing our generation and how we can fight back. It has made me more investigative and curious. It has taught me that people across this country face problems I don't experience. Working on campaigns and speaking with my peers has made me feel part of a movement larger than myself. Recently, I went door to door in my neighborhood supporting a presidential candidate. I spoke with dozens of people. I learned about issues important to them and how they thought their lives matter in national politics. I got so much that day because I did something my 9th grade self would have had a panic attack over. Knocking on the doors of people I didn't know to pitch them on something, I couldn't have imagined something scarier. But today, I want to do this activity whenever possible. When we put ourselves out there, when we take leaps of faith, we are rewarded. Finally, I want to take this opportunity to thank all the teachers who have shaped me over the 14 years at EA. Your education, enthusiasm, and compassion have inspired and motivated me to be caring and to love coming to school each day. I'm reminded of what Maya Angelou once said. I've learned that people will forget what you said, People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. You have made me and my classmates feel welcomed and valued. You have given our thoughts importance. To be challenged and educated by you all is a true privilege. So, 4 years ago, I never would have thought that I would be who I am today. I'm always hoping to meet new people and to try new things, and I'm learning how to embrace my OCD, not as a flaw, because it makes me who I am. Do I still struggle with OCD? Yes, but I will never let it be an excuse for me to shy away from difficulties in life and new experiences. The teachers, friends, and experiences EA has provided me with have supported me to explore what it means to be confident, adaptive, and open-minded. As Seneca wrote thousands of years ago, fate leads the willing and drags the unwilling. We only have so much control in life, and things will not always work out how we want them to. We will make the wrong choices, and we will wish we had said or done something. And time will move so quickly. But what Seneca was saying, in my opinion, is that that's okay. That's life. It will unfold in a tumultuous manner at certain times, no matter how prepared we are. We can choose to be led by life or to be dragged by it, depending on our perspective. We can choose to embrace change and differences each day. In the words of the great novelist Toni Morrison, if you surrender to the wind, you can ride it. Seniors, we only have about 100 days left. We should take this time to try something new and talk to people we don't normally talk to. I urge you all to be willing to explore your boundless potential, willing to look past the easy and the familiar, willing to be trusting in people, willing to be open to whatever life may bring. And when we are willing, we will realize the beauty and opportunity each day has to offer, and we will find our purpose. In silence, let us reflect on what we have just heard.